something I wanted to speak about and needs addressing seriously is on the journey to becoming a top 1% man, right? Becoming the best version of yourself, building good habits, being disciplined, having the physique that you wanted. Everyone has a different, view on sustainability. Right now, sustainability for someone who is a recovering drug addict is maybe only doing it once or twice a week rather than multiple times a day, right? But sustainability for someone who is trying to achieve peak levels of fitness, right? Peak level of energy and just have the most fulfilling life possible looks like being 100% top on their diet all of the time, only eating healthy whole foods, hitting 10K steps every day, prioritizing recovery, spending 3 to 4 days in the gym. And so many people think, just from what I've seen and, people around me, that they can go ahead and bring the bad habits with them, bring negativity with them, bring the vices with them, and operate in an average way, right? Allowing themselves to have cheat meals once or twice a week, right? Which is what I used to allow myself to do, which is I'm going to get into in a minute. But people genuinely think that they can live that way consistently over a period of time and somehow expect the best for themselves and tell themselves that they're disciplined, they're hardworking, right? And they're the people that want that 1% life. But the truth is that the people who are, giving you this information, telling you that, you need to allow yourself 1 or 2 cheat meals a week, that's okay. Having some bad habits and some vices is human. We all make mistakes. That's completely fine. Well, the truth is, right, these people who are giving you this advice and convincing you these things are people who are average themselves, right? And if you saw these people directly, I'm sure you would definitely agree and be like, yo, no way I'm following their advice. But these people aren't where you want to be. They're average people. Just they're in the limelight, so that's how they're able to have this effect on you and tell you all this rubbish and information. But they're telling you to eat this certain way. It's okay to have processed foods. It's okay to, convince yourself that you don't have time after work to do anything or work on yourself. It's okay to watch Netflix for 4 hours when you come home from work, right? And not spend time with your children because you're too tired and don't have the energy you want. But the reason you don't have that energy or aren't in the position you want to be in is because you aren't, first of all, doing the habits that give you your energy back, right? Doing, eating the whole foods consistently, right? Prioritizing recovery, getting into a sleep schedule and structure to prioritize your health and circadian rhythm, right? It all comes from the mistakes that society and people are trying to tell you is okay, is the bit that you right now are missing from allowing you to be from stuck staying average to living the healthiest, most fulfilling lifestyle that you could possibly have ever imagined, right? The things that you're avoiding now is truly the progress that you're not seeing. And that's just a fact. And, it's mind-boggling to me how people genuinely think that they can go ahead and still have bad habits, right? And still bring all the negativity and baggage with them and still have and expect to live a top 1% life. The reason you aren't in that position yet is because you're still adopting the habits and performing the habits of the other 99%. Right? You don't understand, to be the top 1%, you have to think on a different realm. Right? Because everyone's falling into comfortability. That's why it's called comfort, because everyone enjoys it. Everyone goes there. Everyone does those things. But if you really want to elevate and become the person you say you want to be, you have to accept it's a painful journey, right? The road to heaven feels like hell, and the road to hell feels like heaven. And that phrase simply can't put it any better or any more straightforward than that. It's just the truth, right? So you need to come to terms with yourself. How do you want to live your life? How do you want to move forward? And start adopting the habits of that person and work backwards, right? And then you start implementing those habits and slowly killing and destroying, making sure they're gone for good, the old habits that are holding you back and keeping you in the position that you claim that you don't want to be in, you claim you don't like, right? And I understand, right? Because I used to be someone who would give myself 2 or 3 cheat meals a week. I thought that was sustainable. I thought I could do the, eat like, 70% whole foods, but as long as I'm over 50, like, that's a good healthy thing. But what you understand is these foods are genuinely, they have poison, bro. They're built to give you cancer, to make you not form properly, to not have energy, right? If that doesn't tell you something, that you shouldn't consume them, I don't know what will, right? But these things aren't giving you the energy, aren't getting you to where you want to be. And like I said, I used to be someone who allowed myself 2 to 3 cheat meals a week, who was okay with accepting that I have cravings, but just thought that accepting those cravings and giving into them was the best way to deal with it. But after years of growing up, trial and error, and failing hundreds and hundreds of times, I now understand that the reason I felt that way is because I was still giving in to the comfort. I was still eating those foods in moderation. And when you're exposed to eating those kind of foods in moderation, it's like you're teasing your stomach, you're teasing your gut, right? You convince yourself, still eat these foods to continue the cravings and remind myself that they're there. Yeah, do that. What is the point? Right? And I made it so much harder for myself to actually come out of those habits and move into the position that I wanted to be in and have the physique I wanted to have and have the habits I wanted to have. Right? And it all started from truly realizing that eating those cheat meals was just making me feel rubbish and terrible. First of all, it drained my energy and time, right? Because let's be real, nowadays, I swear, fast food restaurants, they're not even fast anymore, bro. You're waiting half an hour in a queue. Bro, genuinely, you can make eggs, avocado, and some sourdough in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And you're still okay waiting 15 minutes for your pizza to heat up. Some bullshit, bro. Convince yourself you don't have the time. No. You make time for what matters, right? And if you're spending all your time on bad habits and eating those foods, you just need to rewire it, cancel those things out and add new things that are actually going to benefit you, right? And then you won't be, claiming that you don't have the time, because you're going to have more energy, you're going to have more time, and it's just a domino effect, right? But when I was eating those cheat meals, genuinely, every other meal other than that throughout the week, when I would have the clean, healthy meals that are supposed to make you feel good, just ended up making me feel terrible as well. Because I felt terrible that I wasn't getting a quick hit of dopamine, that I wasn't eating this nice, incredibly nice tasting food that satisfied my taste buds, right? It just made all the healthy foods boring and less enjoyable, because all I was thinking about is my next cheat meal. When's my next cheat meal? When can I next completely crash out on my diet and undo any progress that I was thinking about making? And the reason I say, right, people's opinions and the other people around you who are also in that same boat and believing those things that are being told by health professionals, right, is truly what's keeping you stuck, right? As we know, your environment plays such a big factor, into your habits, into your success, and into your discipline and daily actions, right? But when you're constantly around people who are, just grabbing Tesco meal deals and grabbing this, that, and the other, and okay with the, having a pizza, let's go meet up with the lads, have some cheat meals, right? When you're surrounding yourself with guys like that, it just makes the journey so much harder than it needs to be, because then you're forced to say no. Then you're forced to look a certain way, and it's, don't get me wrong, I had to do that sometimes, right? It's hard, it's difficult, right? But it's just what you need to do. Truly, it's genuinely what you need to do if you actually want to move forward. So, educate the people around you with this information, right? Because I want them to understand as well. So you can, make your environment better, remove and limit the temptations, and actually just buy things that you're gonna fuel yourself properly with and enjoy and feel better, right? And get the energy back, because health is wealth at the end of the day. And you can have all the problems in the world, but the second your health is a problem, you only have one. Because when you're sick, when you're lying down in a hospital bed and you have all these other responsibilities, guess what? You can't get anything done, right? You are immobile. This is your life quality, your life expectancy, how people view you, how you wish to show up for your children and your family and the people around you. You need to take care of your body, because what you put in is what you get out, and you are what you eat. Like, the energy you give in is what you get out. I don't know why that's so hard to understand for some people, but yet knowing this, some people still will go ahead and binge eat, and eat the foods that aren't good for them. And for a period of time, that was me. I knew they were bad. I knew they made me feel terrible, but I was so exposed and used to how they tasted. I loved food. And don't get me wrong, I love food now. I still love food, right? But I have good habits. I do exercise, right? I train hard, and I make sure I eat good food, so I can eat technically like a king, right? You can still eat well. You can still eat loads of food if you're doing everything properly, right? And what you need to actually, manipulate it so it works for you and your goals. It's mainly the problem that people are just too pre-exposed to, just eating bad foods already, just building up those addictions. And it is why it's so hard to break down, because food is one of those things where you have a meal, even if it's a bad meal, like a cheat meal, and 1 or 2 days later, you forget you even ate it, right? Unless you're obviously really hard thinking about what you had, you forget about it. And you think that, in the short term, it's not really doing anything. But when you compound that over a period of time, it's going to absolutely destroy your insides. And it constantly, time and time again, will slowly chip away at your health without you noticing, before it's too late, and before you wish you never consumed the foods that you did. Because we can't remove the food that we had, but still you're going to allow the foods to absolutely kill you, give you no energy, right? Make your skin bad, have acne. One thing I actually had was really bad acne, right? I went on tons of medications. I tried tons of skincare products. I was even drinking loads of water and living a healthy life. But the one thing that was missing was I was allowing myself cheat meals. My diet wasn't perfect. And what your body and physique portrays on the outside is what you put in. Because like I said before, you are what you eat. So watch what you eat. So follow something sustainable, meaning find healthy whole foods that you enjoy, right? That you genuinely sit down and get excited to eat. For me, that's the eggs, sourdough, avocado. All right, I have 6 eggs, an avocado, and a slice of sourdough pretty much every morning, and I have done for the past, I want to say 1.5 years, 2 years maybe. And I genuinely get excited every single morning when I have it, right? And for you guys who, are still indulging in those cheat meals, you probably think there's no way you still find that enjoyable. But it's because you haven't found something you genuinely like the taste of. You haven't found something that genuinely makes you feel amazing and makes you feel good. And once you find that thing, you're not even going to be thinking about, oh, should I switch it up? I fancy fried chicken today. I fancy pizza. Let's have an ice cream. Like, no. Like, you just remove all of that out of your mindset, right? And then the food that you thought once wasn't that great will then become more enjoyable, because your gut will change, right? You'll start craving healthier foods, right? And if you guys, working in an office most of the time, there's ways that you can actually, strategize and allow yourself to get the time back throughout the day. So, for example, on Sunday, give yourself 2 hours in the evening to meal prep for the rest of the week. That means you now don't have to spend time at lunch, walking to the nearest fast food spot. Now you don't have to give in to the bad food and the cakes and biscuits that they're giving you at work, right? And now you have nothing but to just eat what you have with you, and it's going to get you closer to your goals. See? No wasting time, no fast food, no need to spend money, right? Once you start implementing a strategy and, falling into a plan that works around your schedule, you'll start realizing that you get the time, energy, money, productivity. It all comes back. Yes, for a slight investment at the start, for a slight lifestyle shift. But the whole point is that you build the good habits and remove the old ones. It's quite simple, but in the beginning, people don't see how that's going to create more time and more energy and more money even. But when we really start pinpointing and showing how we're going to do that, and how I do that with my clients and my guys, people are like, oh, this makes sense. And then they always wish that they started sooner. So even if you have responsibilities, children, you're working long hours, you have, things going on, and you have convinced yourself you don't have the time and energy, right? It's because you're not in a structure, right? you've got too many bad habits and things that you're just wasting time for, right? Because you make time for what matters. And if your health and fitness and diet doesn't make the list, right? Don't expect to be there for your children when they grow up. Don't expect to be able to play with them and live a healthy, long and fulfilling life. With that being said, my name is Harrison Scales and I'm an online fitness coach. And if you were looking to become the best version of yourself, level up spiritually, mentally, physically, right? Build those good habits, achieve your dream physique, right? And be the disciplined individual you always knew and dreamed of becoming, right? Make sure to check out the description below. I'll link my Instagram. Go ahead and DM me the word gain, where I can reach out to you, right? See where you're at, see where you want to be, and see actually if you're a good fit. I'll also go ahead and link down my a link to go ahead and book a call if you're serious and just want to take it directly there. And we can sort of discuss, like I said, where you're at, where you want to be, and actually if you're a good fit. So with that being said, I hope you guys found this enjoyable and actually learned a significant amount and took away a lot from this video. So with that being said, I see you guys in the next one.